What match prediction right now, Joe, if you had to?
Oh, Jesus.
So while the teams are having a slice of orange, or if that's what anyone does anymore, having a hydration gel and some jelly babies, who knows? Let's have a chat about the November test series that's coming up, or Autumn Nation series, or end of year test, whatever you're calling them, quilter internationals, I don't know. But there's one game in particular that I think I'm more hyped about than any of them, Joe, and that is in Paris on the 8th of November when the world champion Springboks come to town in what is a long-awaited rematch of that epic quarterfinal.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, like today, isn't it? That epic quarterfinal, not today, this weekend. It was an amazing game, an amazing weekend of rugby. And that game, I was in France at the time. Everyone was shocked, like shocked beyond shocked. They really thought they were going to win. They were sure they were going to win. They probably should have won. Just the way they didn't deal with the pressure game, that high balls kicking from Faf de Kirk, some of the Pollard kicks, just rebounding on the floor and then bouncing into the arms of the player going through.
The conversion charge down, don't forget, the conversion charge down by Colby on Ramos.
Error for the try of Colby as well, where they just counter-attacked and scored. So France really should have won that game, I think. South Africa were amazing. That's their game, isn't it? That's what they do. That's what they do so well. But honestly, Dupont wasn't quite firing. Obviously, Tamak wasn't involved. But still, I think this is a game they could have won. I still can't believe the shock. Yeah, since that moment, they've been on a journey. Huh? They've been on an interesting journey.
Well, just before we go to what happened after that, I almost feel like this game. Next month is like the third part of a trilogy as well, because I remember in 2022, that game in Marseille, I remember watching that and wincing at the level of physicality of it. It was about as brutal as rugby gets. I think Jelonch described that as the hardest game of rugby he's ever played in at the time.
I'm hoping so. We'll see a Mordor movie number 3 where there's going to be an epic battle. Because both those games have been incredible, and I can't wait to watch two of the most physical teams in the world, one of which can just do jaw-dropping moments, the other one has developed an attacking game which is far superior to what it had before. I can't wait.
And yeah, exactly. South Africa has developed their game, and I just think as much as it's going to be brutally physical up front, but the wheels and skill and nuance in the back lines it's going to be absolutely blockbuster. I cannot wait. So take us through. Like, we've talked about the shock following that game. It was palpable. I was in France at the time as well, and it was like a day of mourning the next day. Suddenly rugby didn't exist. Not interested. World Cup's gone. And weirdly, it's like Ireland took over as the hosts after that. But even though they'd been knocked out as well. But the journey they've been on since, over the last 2 years, like I say, 2 years.
I know 2 years, ridiculous, isn't it? Immediately after the Six Nations, where they were really poor, I think the team was floundering around. The coaching staff had a few changes. They lost their way. I think it kind of plateaued, didn't do anything, didn't go anywhere. And that first one, they lost badly at home to Ireland. Ireland scored, I think, 4 tries in that game, got a bonus point in France and Marseille. Not somewhere many teams go and win. Now, after that, they nearly lost at home to Italy. The ball fell off the tee. Otherwise, Garbisi probably would have put that one over.
That controversial moment.
First ever win in France.
Yeah, that controversial moment in Murrayfield where Scotland felt aggrieved as well.
Yeah, so that team that year just really wasn't firing. Dupont wasn't involved either. So they didn't really do much in that Six Nations. Then they went on tour after that, the summer tour, obviously resting a large number of players. They took Atasogbi kind of put his hand up the first time he saw his name coming out in lights. They went to Argentina, they won one, lost one. But again, it's more of a development tour than anything. And then they came back and they had November internationals. That's where maybe they started to click again and get back into it. New Zealand game, fantastic match in Paris. And honestly, I loved watching that match. New Zealand was demonstrating where they were going. France started to step up and just really scored some wonderful tries. It was a really exciting game. The second half got a bit of an arm wrestle where Ramos's boot kind of finished it off. But that game was really high quality, and France, for the first time since that quarterfinal, got back to the kind of levels they were before. They weren't developing a new style, they were just doing what France do well and reacting when the ball's fast, turnovers, poor kicks, and just breaking the opposition. I think the New Zealand team made a turnover, for example. Ramos picks it up, perfect grubber, Bielberry, bam, try time. New Zealand taking 20 phases of immaculate passing to score. France just doing it in 1 or 2. So yeah, it was very much the first game of that high level. That was a really enjoyable match. And then the Six Nations, the last Six Nations we had, which I think they lost. We're both at that England game, which was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the game in Dublin, that was as good as we've seen France since the World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they really stepped up a level. I mean, Ireland aren't quite as efficient as they were before, but they haven't been as efficient as they were during the World Cup since Sexton's gone and everything. So they're not quite as good as they were. There is that caveat, but still at home to win like France won was a phenomenal performance. Losing Dupont, Lucu stepping in and doing an incredible job. Again, big moment for him to step up and do a job. So again, they're developing, getting back to the levels they can play at. Only the French team can play at. Some of the tries and ways they can score is incredible. And really, that's where we want to see him get back to. The more efficient that French team is at defending and exiting and pressuring, they'll get more transition opportunities, and their attack is so deadly anyway that I think they get that side of the game right, defense pressure game. The other side normally takes care of itself, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can hit the ground running straight away in this autumn international period, because I mean, the Six Nations was followed by a tour to New Zealand in which they rested the vast majority of the squad. The squad they sent was second, third choice in some positions, and they were competitive. Again, Guillard stepped up. There's a few players who came through because of that tour. But honestly, the team has not played since the Six Nations that will play in these autumn internationals.
What's
so it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, when you look ahead to the South Africa game, there's a couple of players that have come through into the first team. Moafana's made a midfield spot his own. Yeah. And who else would you say has come into the side? I'm brain
Baudion in the back row.
Oh, yeah. But Paul Boudehon. But other than that, it's pretty much the same team, almost to a man, that took on South Africa. Or at least a vast majority of it. So it's going to be fascinating to see where they're at. It's going to be a huge game. I have a couple of questions. Firstly, who's going to wear 10? I mean, if it was Dupont starting 9, you'd automatically go for Ntamak. He hasn't looked quite at his best for Stade Toulousain this season. So who starts 10 for you? Do you step Ramos up? Do you put Jalibert in?
Jalibert's been amazing. Bilberry is an amazing piece of content we put out with all his tries. Half of them, Jalibert's the l'ouvreur, they say in France, opening it up and putting him into space. So he is incredible. Obviously, the Ntamak, the symbiosis, the connection he has with Dupont and the rest of the Toulouse guys is great. But yeah, he's not firing on all cylinders. Burris is not fit. Ramos will play fullback, I think. The only issue is high balls. I mean, Atasogbe's quite good there, but that'd be a big call. Ramos up front, Atasogbe fullback.
One final question I've got is the backup tight head prop. So Awini Atonio is now over 2 years since he announced his retirement initially, and Tatafu we thought Tatafu was gonna take that job. He's had injuries with Bayonne. Georges-Henri Colombe last November, as much as France won against New Zealand, he got absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, he said himself in the media he's not ready to come back.
Oldegary at club level got annihilated by Montpellier the other week. For Toulouse. So I worry about France in the last 20 minutes of a game closing it out or losing big penalties with scrums. Yeah,
I mean, they've got 3 world-class props. They're scrabbling around for another one, aren't they? With Antonio gone. Yeah, that will be interesting. Just trying to think who else might be given a shot. I mean, during the summer, I mean, they've got loose heads they've got coming out of the rears.
Yeah, loads of loose heads.
It's just tight heads, isn't it?
Yeah, just that backup tight head's a really interesting one to watch because Antonio is only going to manage 45, 50 minutes in this game. It's what match prediction right now, Joe, if you had to?
Oh, Jesus. Battle hardened South Africa, scraping home a 1-point win.
I think they might win it. I'm going to say scrum penalty in the last 10 is going to win them the game. I think it'll be down to a point. It's going to be huge. Cannot wait. That's a game we've got to look forward to in November, but we've got 40 more minutes of rugby coming up next. Make sure you go and check out the rest of the stuff that's on the channel after the game tonight. Hit subscribe, and let's get back to the second half.